Hey guys, it's Woody the Unexceptional Gamer, and this is a scrim we did, kind of a warm-up against one of the other Call of the Community teams, so there won't be any poning noobs in this thing. Everybody is good, and they beat us more than we beat them, but this is one of our better games, and I thought I'd post it up. So let's get on with Mail Monday. Dear Woody, I'm 14 years old and bisexual. I know you probably don't think I'm old enough to proclaim my sexuality, but ever since I hit puberty, I've been getting attracted not only to girls but guys as well. I don't know how to come out to my mother, father, or stepfather, and if that wasn't bad enough, I don't have any luck with either sex. I need some advice on all of these, and in your 7,000 years, I'm pretty sure you've picked up some experience along the way. This is actually kind of a tough topic for me to give advice on, and the reason is that for me, I don't love the advice I give, and it's usually stay in the closet, right? And it's not that I think gay people should stay in the closet. It's that I think gay teenage lives are really difficult when you're out of the closet. Something like 1/3 of all suicide attempts are committed by teenagers who are gay, right? Life is really, really tough. And I know you're bi and not gay and that there's a difference there. But I think that in terms of, high school boys, they don't see any difference at all. They're going to see a guy who sometimes has sex with men or would desire to have sex with men or something like that. And they're going to look at it in a really, really harsh light. And it's just going to make your life super duper difficult. And I don't want that for you. On the other hand, after high school, as soon as college, if you go, or adulthood, if you jump straight into that after high school, things will get better. I'm throwing a link in the description for itgetsbetter.org, and it's a resource to help, I guess, it's really focused on gay people, but I think it fits just as well, and helping them understand that life as an openly gay or bi adult can be okay. And I checked it out, and I've heard of it before. I know the guy well, I don't know the guy that runs it. I know of the guy that runs it, and his general philosophy is typically that life as an openly gay or bi adult is okay. If you move to a metro area, then you'll find other people in your peer group, and that things will be all right. And that what you're going through in high school is just a really, really tough time. And to be honest, I'm just hoping that there's some way that you can get through this without having struggling in a really super way in terms of being excluded. High school is tough for everyone, but it's amazingly tough for people who are outside what I'll call normal, if you could see my air quotes, in their sexuality. So yeah, you want to know how do you come out to your mother, father, and stepfather and stuff like that. I think I would just settle down on it a little bit. Not come out to the world, not make being gay like a hobby. Some guys and girls, when they first sort of come out, it consumes their identity and who they are and such. I wouldn't do that, especially not at 14 years old. I'd just be you, be sort of a toned down, quiet version, not quiet all the time, but a secretive version of you, and avoid some of the heartache that being gay or bi in high school is going to bring you. So there you have it. Unless you're a girl, at which point, and I think by reading your thing, I like not only girls but guys as well. If you're a girl, being bi, I think, is a whole lot easier. But if you're a guy, I would just not tell the world. It's going to bring you some pain, and that's that. Hey Woody, I've recently been faced with a serious problem that may separate me from my family forever. Just a few days ago, my mom and dad found my hidden stash of marijuana, and ever since, things haven't been right. They ignore me, and whenever I try to talk to them and apologize about what I did, they simply ignore me. The odd time that they do pay attention to me, they cry and yell at me about my ignorance to the family and telling me how I drove them apart due to my lying and deceitfulness. I'm grounded, my video games were taken away, I'm lonely as ever, and I don't know what to do. I'm scared that things will never be right between me and my parents again, and I don't want to live in a world where I'm growing up all on my own. Can you please give me some advice on how to revive my relationship with my parents? Yep, I went through something similar when I was a teenager. Except in my case, it wasn't marijuana, it was alcohol. And I was far too young to be drinking it by any standard. And they would ignore me. They'd give me the cold shoulder, which is a pretty similar thing. And just generally, withhold their trust from me. And you might think, oh, the parents withholding trust is a pretty small punishment if you haven't gone through it. But the reality behind it is that it actually is a pretty big punishment. When your parents it's a way of them saying like they don't approve of who you are as a person, and that's a really big deal. So it can be hard to live through, and even if you think of yourself as, you know, completely independent and you know, not needy or whatever, if you've never lived through your parents giving you this sort of, you know, we no longer approve of who you've turned out to be kind of feeling, then you don't know how rough it is. And so I understand where you are. In my case, I actually had kind of a sit down talk with my mother, and what had happened is something like 3 or 4 weeks had gone by, and you know, my behavior was perfect during that 3 or 4 weeks, and I talked to her and I was like, Mom, you know, what can I do? How can I make this better? This is a big problem for me, and you know, every turn you guys are you know, giving me the cold shoulder, you know, making it clear that you just don't approve of who I've turned out, and like, I know I messed up, and I know it's only been 3 or 4 weeks, but that's all the time I could squeeze into 3 or 4 weeks. You know, please forgive me, and allow for me to show you that that I'm not the guy that, you know, that I was 3 weeks ago. And I think just in that conversation, the pain that I was going through in this situation became really apparent to my mother. And and she talked to my father on my behalf, and they kind of turned things around for me and made it better. So I think you should do the same thing with your parents. You should sit down with them and let them know that this punishment, that might seem like very little to other people, is actually taking its toll on you, and that they need to lighten up and be on your side again. Trying to squeeze one more in. Paraphrased, this says, Woody, how do you and other big YouTubers get big games early? Is it possible to pay you for those big games and get them ahead of schedule like you do? I get games early so that on day one I can put up videos that help you guys play better, be knowledgeable in the game, even though it just came out. But it's not something I can repeat or share. I just go on eBay, go on Craigslist, hustle a lot, and get the game as quickly as I can. I would just suggest you do the same thing. So sorry, can't help. 2 recent videos you may not have seen. The top one talks about Modern Warfare 3, Hazard Domination Play, and the Call of Community Tournament. Robert Bowling talked about the maps, how they're going to combat camping in Modern Warfare 3 by changing the way that they flow. I give advice on how to play Hazard, and I talk about the Call of Community Tournament, which was something that happened yesterday and turned out really cool. The bottom video is a more personal one. I made it about 10 or 15 minutes after I found out that my father-in-law's cancer, instead of the chemo curing it, has actually spread. He's 74, so that's a pretty bad sign at that age. People have asked me why I made a video about such a personal topic, and the reason is that those are some of my favorite videos. Chris Trout made one in honor of his mother. That was one of the best videos that YouTube has ever seen. Incredible. Hutch made some in extreme happiness when he got his job at Machinima. He made some with extreme sadness when he broke up with a girlfriend that meant a lot to him. Those kind of videos, I actually really like them, so I make them too, and that's the reason. So I hope that you guys like them too. If you don't, then, you know, don't watch, and have a nice day.